Many Lucio players think that the main value they provide to their team is heal and speed, and that's simply not true. Alright, let's get started. This is a Platinum Lucio. On Oasis. 2.2 to 2.4. Let's see, do they have any... I can only record 10 minutes at a time, so it is all 3 maps of Oasis, 1 in each video. That's completely fine. Note, I'm really trying to get better overall. I noticed some issues with over-aggression, okay? And I've been doing Lucio Surf to get better at wall riding. I'll take whatever help I can get, or I can get to improve. I want to climb eventually into Diamond at least. Thanks. Alright. Fantastic. Let's get started. Tab. I kind of want to see what you're running, what they're running. I'm just going to wait for Tab, and then we'll talk about team comps, and then we'll kind of go back and review this part.
Okay. I'll push them. That's me.
Tab.
Yeah, come back.
Well, yeah, I'm going to wait for to talk about team comps first, because I like to explain that at the beginning, and then we'll... Ah, there we go. Okay, there's Tab. Alright, let's talk about team comps for a second. So, what are you guys running? Tank-wise, you're running D.Va, Reinhardt. It's a good comp. That's actually pretty brawly. It's very meta right now. Heal-wise, you guys are running yourself, Lucio, and Ana. Also very good. A lot of utility, a lot of heals there. That does add extra responsibility to you or on your part, because you do have to start peeling for your Ana. You have to start, like, that has to be on your brain. So you have to think about that. Be like, oh, do I need to peel for my Ana? Do I need to help her? And you guys also have McCree, May, which again adds more responsibilities to you guys, or to you specifically, because you're gonna have to. You really should be helping your May with walls, so like booping people around, making it easier, doing setups, stuff like that. So that's going to be incredibly important. But overall, you guys are a brawl comp, so you really want to engage kind of as a group. And let's quickly take a look at what they're running. So their tank-wise are running D.Va Roadhog, or Reinhardt Roadhog, I don't know why, which is super poke. So that's... Their tanks are definitely poke. Their heals, Moira Zen, also poke. So, also poke there. Their DPS are May, Doom, which is a combination of, like, Doom is dive and May is a lot of poke. So, again, because they're running a May, this adds even more responsibilities to you, because you now have to help your team when your team gets walled. So your positioning is going to be incredibly important. I mean, it always is for Lucio, but even more so now. And your pathing, so like how you get to where you are, like how you wall climb and stuff like that, will be incredibly important because of May's walls and because of Doomfist. So you're going to be caught in between trying to figure out, do you want to help your May with walls? Do you want to help deny enemy walls, or like help your team out of situations when they get walled? And you might also have to peel for your Ana. So you have a lot of things on your plate right now. Let's go back and get rid of that and kind of look at where you guys go. So you guys go right, which is actually pretty nice. You guys do this as a team unit. This room specifically isn't great for Lucio, and like right now you don't really have any utilization in this room. Oh, but your team pushes out here, and you kind of sit here in this room and poke, which is a pretty big mistake. So let me talk about this for a second. Maps. Oasis. I'm pretty sure this is the third map. We're gonna find out. We'll also find out how good my wall riding is. Yeah. Oh, I missed that. But no matter. So essentially, your team walks into this room. You're kind of doing some poke, which is okay. You're not doing that much here. But then your diva pushes out, which is a little bit crazy of her, because your Ryan stays here. But your team pushes out. So essentially what you need to be doing at this point is pathing up here. Because, like I said, you're looking to set your Mei up for walls. So you're sitting up here. The enemy comes through. You go boop. And now you're making wall. So that's a lot of what you're doing. And then, like, if they wall, you now have speed because you're up here. And you just speed your Reinhardt away. Because, for instance, what happens if, when you're sitting here, their Mei just walled right here? You're now essentially useless for a couple seconds until you come around. And, like, if you... Oh. You guys didn't see anything. If you're up here, sitting up here, and the call is to go to point, like, that's pretty easy for you. Boop, you get to go to point. The added benefit is you also get to scout. So, you know, if you're up here and they go left, you can see that. You can say that's your team. You know, even if you're over here, you can start doing poke to supports. You can do poke to that Zenyatta. Maybe force out some cooldowns or abilities, or just make him hide in general. So, because maybe you'll force the Moira to turn around, or... So, yeah, definitely important to be able to take high ground and help your team make plays. So, like, remember kind of the extra jobs that you have. Yep, and you're essentially playing ground Lucio here, which is never good. And the Doom kind of punishes you. Your team is all still in this room. See, your Ryan got walled over there. And if you were kind of over there with him, you could have just sped him around and he would have survived. Or amped healed, whichever. No reason to amp here. But I think you know that. I think that was probably a mistake. Like, maybe slip of the button or accidental press. This is nice. This is good. You're getting poke in. You want to get as much ultimate charge as you can.
We can go left side, take high ground.
Yeah.
Because the main way... The main way you're going to get ultimate charge for Lucio isn't by healing. Like, it can be, and that's great, but it's going to be by poke. It's going to be by you wall riding around, taking a couple shots here, taking a couple shots there. So you want to get as many shots in as you can.
I don't think they have anything to boot, but...
They sonicked. You need to be scouting for your team here. Do you do it? Your diva does it. Okay, so something else that's really important for Lucio to do is to scout. So if you come up here, although you should turn around to make sure the rest of your team is actually coming with you, because you didn't actually know. Like, I know that was the call, but you want to be able to scout. So you're gonna sit up here, and you're like, oh, are they coming? Oh, they're coming. Because if they do come this way, you want to be able to boop. You want to go boop. So you want to be able to get that. And like while you're in the air here, it doesn't matter. You can still heal or speed your team, but you have to make sure you scout. So like you didn't scout this at all. Like they could have had their hog come up here and just wait and then hook, and then someone's dead. You kind of lose a push because of that. So very important to scout. And on the scouts you get to do damage as well. So you can be doing little bits of damage. Let me actually go back and demonstrate. If you're on the scout up here, whatever, boop, little bit of damage, you're back. So, because that's how you're gonna build your ultimate. Took a lot of damage from that fire strike there. Again, you shouldn't have been sitting right behind your tanks. You should be kind of high ground. It's okay. Still should be scouting because you don't know. Your Ryan just kind of went in. It's unlucky you did attempt to save him. There's not much you can do here. Your Diva got so this is pretty much a lost fight. You lost Mei, Ryan, Diva. So your job now is to scout and to get everyone out. So you still want to be babysitting everyone out. So right here, there's a Hog and Zen, kind of sitting over here. You want to be scouting here. Again, obviously poking for ult charge, but then boop, nice boop. But you want to be speeding people out. So you want to kind of get your team, say, okay, let's go, let's get out, and speed them out. So, because you don't want to feed the enemy more ult charge than you guys already did. Nice attempt to boop the Hog back in. Really, really good. But again, the priority is to speed people out. Like, that was a really good play, though. That shows that you kind of have that knowledge. There's no reason to be here. You can just get hooked. Yep. Just do kind of this. Get some poke. More poke. More poke. More poke.
Focus Ryan.
Okay, so they've got...
Yeah, on to Ryan.
I'm not going to talk about the calls here because I'm just VOD reviewing you, not the team. Oh, this is one of those rough situations. Oh, are you going to die to... Oh my gosh, you did. This is one of those rough situations where, as a Lucio, the call was actually to back out, not to go in. But because you guys aren't using voice comms in Overwatch, you're using Discord, I can't tell who's calling what. But the call is kind of to back out because you guys weren't full at this point. You were still waiting for Ana. Like, I'm pretty sure if we go back, yeah, there Ana is in the background. So you're still waiting for Ana at this point. So yeah, it is what it is. There's not much you can do here. But even like right now, so right now you don't provide any utility. You still need to be scouting. So you're over here. Whatever, you didn't make it in with your tanks. Understandable. You just need to go whoop, scout. You know, just kind of do one of the classic. Because your D.Va's not scouting at all, so you really need to be scouting. So scouting all angles, even if you're scouting over here, even if you were up here scouting, it's fine. But usually this is the better angle to scout. But it doesn't matter. You just have to be scouting for your team. It's incredibly important because you have so much agility. It's incredibly important to be scouting.
Run.
Yeah, and it's unlucky. You definitely don't want to walk into a dragon. Your heal radius is pretty big. Like, probably not that big because your tanks completely ran away from you. But, yeah, it's a little bit unlucky. Yeah, if you had survived here, you still would have gotten value because your tanks survived, so... Yeah, definitely don't kill yourself.
I couldn't get on.
Unlucky. There's not much you can do there. Yeah. That's the way it goes sometimes. I don't think there's anything left here. I think we're just on to the next VOD. So you use amp here. See, this is really nice. This is really nice wall riding. Really nice poke you're getting in here.
Hey, you wall off.
This is kind of a...
Yeah, he's walled off.
Focus Ryan.
Okay, I want to talk about this for a second. This is kind of an error in thinking on your team, but you do have to be kind of aware of this, because I think this is a scrim, and I think you guys actually play together. If so, this is something to kind of think about. If not, then it's a little harder. So you used amp out of spawn, like speed amp, which is okay, but what that means is you don't have speed amp to like escape, or you don't have heal amp, and I'm pretty sure you guys switched to Brig. Pretty sure I saw Brig somewhere. Is this true?
Alright, they're here. It's sick.
Yeah, you have a Brig. So you have super low heals, so your amp is even more important. But back to what I was saying before, even if you had a main healer. If you amp out of spawn, you kind of amped out of spawn, you made it to point first, but instead of setting up, your Reinhardt decided to just go aggressive without amp, so you have no way to save him. Like, you don't have heals, you don't have speed. Like, having said that, if your pathing had been a little bit better, and you had been, like, more high ground, let me actually show this a little bit. Oh. Show lobby. Oh. I think that's first? Oh. I think that's the first map, is it? It might not be. Let's find out. Nope. My bad. So this is the second. But having said that, if your pathing had been a little bit better, you would have been a lot higher. So this is kind of one of those scenarios where Lucio Surf is just doing wall riding practice is definitely going to be good. Oop. Oh wow, my Lucio wall riding is pretty bad. But yeah, so like you were sitting up here, which is really nice. But you can always just kind of go up over here. Allows you to do pressure. And you can even kind of go up here. Allows you to do pressure to the back line. And also allows you to sit here. So in case they do wall like this, you're not, that wall doesn't affect you. So you can still kind of speed your Rhine out or heal your Rhine, even though you didn't have amp. You kind of do those things. So that's pretty important. Yeah, because you kind of get stuck here. But this is just due to bad pathing beforehand. And mistakes that your Rhine made, but that's okay. There's no need to amp here. Again, your amp is crazy important. Oh, your amp is crazy important, again, because you have so low heals, because you have Brig. And if you had been kind of high ground, as in, if you had been, like... Oh, I don't know. If you had just even been up here, the hog probably wouldn't have hooked you. Just kind of up here, doing damage, stuff like that. So... Try not to be ground Lucio. Like, there are times when ground Lucio is okay and effective, but part of Lucio's kit is his wall ride, and it's what makes him, like, a very good support. So. Ooh. I probably would not push that McCree. I would just go back and heal your team. So... What their team comp is trying to do is they're trying to poke you down. So if they poke you and if you guys don't take good engagements and you take a lot of poke, you don't have enough heals to heal that up. So they'll win off that. Like over time, in a long fight, if you fight for a minute, they'll win that fight just due to the nature that you don't have heals to replenish the HP that your team lost. Like that's the comp that you're running. So you have to be more careful with the fights you take, or your team does, and you can kind of help dictate that by scouting. Like, so scouting will help a lot there. And you personally have to be you have to be a little bit of a heal bot there, even though Lucio doesn't have to be a heal bot in general. Like in this instance, you do have to be kind of a heal bot, and you have to try and help your team, enable your team, make plays, get boops. So like chasing after McCree's isn't a really good idea, obviously because of the flash, but even more importantly because of the comp you're running, and your team really does need you to be alive. Yeah, because like if people are gonna flank, let the May deal with flankers. Like scout the flankers out for sure and do some poke damage to them, but it really isn't your job to fully commit onto a flanker and kill them, because your team needs you for more things than that. So
We're down May.
Watch for wall. I can try and bait it out.
nice. Swap to speed. So your default should be speed. If your default should be speed if you're like, if nothing's happening, just leave it on speed, just because moving people around a little bit faster. See, this is really good.
Yep.
Having a little trouble wall riding here, but I can understand. Like this is good pathing. You're thinking, you're trying to make a play here, which is good. You're trying to make a boop. Unluckily, I think that's your May that walled. It is what it is. That's fine. But you're trying to make a play here. You're trying to make a boop. You're trying to boop that May back into your team. So that's good. That's what you want to kind of be doing. But now you don't want to be here. Like, you don't want to be stuck in this weird little passageway where you can't wall ride. So you kind of want to get out of here as quickly as possible. And whether that's you just go up and around or wherever. Yeah, you don't want to be here just because you have not much you could do. So you can always just be like, oh, be up here. Kind of contest high ground a little bit because your diva isn't really contesting high ground at all. So it kind of does fall to you. You can always kind of sit around, point, pressure their supports. This is also kind of a good opportunity for you to kind of, I don't want to say assassinate a support, but put pressure on a support enough that they have to pay attention to it. So it's a good opportunity for you to kind of start doing that. They noon, so you're trying to get out.
Frozen.
Unlucky. Oh, nice boop. Oh, unlucky. The thought was right there, though. Like, that's fine. Oh, yeah, May jumps off. Not feeding, which is good. Yeah, see, like, you're... Even in this scenario, you're a little bit behind alt charge wise, as opposed to, like, the rest of your team. And that's just because you're not doing a lot of poke. You're kind of being... You're being a little bit of a heal bot, which you have to be because you have Brig. But it's important to remember that even though your team does need your heals, and you have to be very careful with where you amp, you still have to make plays for your team. Like, you still have to help your May get walls. You still have to, like, even more so now because you have no one to peel for. So everyone on your team can peel for themselves. You know, Reinhardt has enough HP, Brig has Bash and a bunch of other abilities. May has Cryo Freeze and everything else, and Reaper has Wraith. D.Va has Boost, so you don't have anyone really to peel for on your team. Like, you'd have to heal them. So this does give you the opportunity to kind of try and assassinate the Zenyatta, or at least you put pressure on them. Put pressure on the McCree. Put pressure on the May. Make her use her Ice Block. Make her use abilities. Just by spam damage.
I have all 5, mate.
So spam, spam, spam. Because you really need to get more ult charge off that.
Let's start with.
Alright.
Ryan is.
I think your comms are cutting out here, but again, I'm not going to talk about, like, what your team is saying and what you're doing, because I don't know who's talking, and it's not... I don't know. So usually a support or a main tank is the shot caller for a team, just because, usually a support, but just because they have an overall view of what's going on, and Lucio's an excellent shot caller. I don't know if you're shot calling, because I obviously don't know your voice, but if you are shot calling, you're not scouting nearly enough. So if you are the one shot calling for your team, you have to be scouting, 10 times more, or you need to have 10 times more scouting, because your D.Va's not doing any, but you really you need that information to make the calls that you're making.
I'm back.
Oh, so McCree, I think Zen is high ground and D.Va's high ground. So no, we'll let this clip play. They use trance. I don't know why we amped heals here. I feel like this was a panic amp. Oh, you saw the May was low, and you wanted to heal the May, which was fine. But she does have cryo freeze, so she should be able to heal herself. Really, you want to have speed to then... So essentially, you May ulted, your team May ulted, and their team tranced. And even if you freeze someone in May ult, you can kill them through a trance, especially if they're squishy and your team focuses them. But you do have to kind of... You should be... You can leave it on speed at least initially, but you should definitely switch, or heals initially, but you should definitely switch to speed very quickly so your team can close the distance. Because remember, you don't want to take poke. The way your team wins is you're right on them. You're in their face, you engage, you're a very brawly kind of comp. So you're even running Reaper now. This is really good. This is you just annoying their May, which is really, really good. There's... Okay. We have to talk about the beat, but I want to talk about the May a little bit. Like, this is really good. This is kind of... this is part of what you should be doing all game, which is just kind of annoying them. So, like, by keeping the attention of the May on you, who shouldn't be able to kill you if you have decent wall riding skills, because you have boop and other things, it prevents their May from making plays on your team. So, like, this wall, this May just used on you, she now can't use on the rest of your team, which is a huge win, because she could easily split off your team and prevent them from getting kills in the blizzard and all that kind of stuff. So absolutely massive win from your team, or from you, doing this kind of stuff. This is really perfect. And all right, so we do have to talk about the beat. I don't think there was a reason to beat here. I think you kind of just panic beat. I don't know why, because you definitely were winning that fight. But if you do beat, though,
Okay, behind.
something you don't do is, so if you're gonna beat to counter ultimate, like, that's fine. Like, you get grabbed and you're gonna beat to counter that, that's fine. You get Sigma ulted, you beat to counter that, that's fine. But if you beat as, like, a tempo changing ult, so to save someone's life, like someone on your team gets low and you want to save the life, so it's a tempo ult, that's fine. If you beat because you want to be able to chase That's also okay in many situations. I mean, you do have to be careful because the enemy team right now has nothing that you need to save your beat for, which is something you should be looking for as a Lucio. But if they did, if they had a Sigma, if they had a Zarya, then you would have to be more careful with how you use beat. But because they don't, you don't have to be as careful. Maybe Shatter you'd save it for, but if you end up using beat and you want to chase, you want to make sure you have amp, but how do I don't know how I want to say this. Let me try and actually draw this out as opposed to, so let's say this is your team's health bars. If you beat here, let's say they have full health. So they have full health. Hey, all the way full health. If you beat right now, you have nothing to do during the beat other than speed. And like if you have a main healer, like not Brig, because obviously Brig doesn't care about this, but if you had the Ana, your Ana would have nothing to really do except maybe damage. So what you want to do if you're going to try and beat to save someone's life, like I think this was a panic beat, so this doesn't really apply, but I'm going to talk about the concept anyway because it's important. You want to wait till people's health goes down a little bit, not all the way, especially if it's a tank player, because you won't have enough time to heal them. But during the beat, so let's say, beat applied all these extra shields. But during this beat, they're still not healed. So during the time of the beat, you can actually heal them up as the shields from the beat are like decreasing because it's over time. So that's definitely a very important concept to kind of know, like whether you should be on heals or on speed after a beat. So if you beat to save someone's life, you can swap to heals because you can heal them up, and your other heals or your other healer can help heal them up during that, during the time when the shields from the beat are active. If you want to chase someone, then you want to have speed, but you probably want to have amp as well. So like if your goal is to chase someone, you should have amp before you beat. If your goal is to save someone's life, I mean, hopefully you have amp, maybe you don't, but your goal is to beat and then swap to heals. So that's why this particular beat didn't really make any sense whatsoever, because you used beat without amp, and you also, I don't think we're trying to save anyone's life. Which is fine, but you should still be scouting here. I mean, it's good that you're finishing off, but you still should be scouting. Kind of that McCree. Yeah, you guys don't want to let him get away. Yep, you waited for flash, which was good. You need to be, your pathing needs to be a lot better. Oh, okay, never mind. You got Diva over here. Hey, beat her up. Nice. But you need to go right back to scouting. Like this. This was good. This kind of scouting is good. Yeah, like instead of being here. Oh. You can be up here. Oh, I messed that up. You guys didn't see anything? You can... Why? What the... Okay, now I'm just annoyed. Hold on. Okay, yeah, you can be up here. That took me a surprisingly long time to get to. Yeah, you can be up here and scout, because then you can always just be like, whoop. So this is kind of important, because you do want to be able to see where the enemy is coming from, and you want to be able to get your poke in, so you can recharge your ultimate. So, like, sitting here is fine, but being ground Lucio isn't great. You're just not utilizing a huge part of his kit. Again, default should be speed if you're not doing anything. A good poke, though, but definitely want to... Like, your pathing needs to be a little better. You don't want to be... But yeah, this is what you want to be doing. Poke, call out what's doing... Like, right now, you're not really doing anything. Just kind of stay on the flank, keep scouting. Oh, I think the call was to bomb Shatter. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about that. That's not... But even for a bomb Shatter, you do have to be looking to help set up. Looking to help get boops, looking to help kind of do stuff to enable bomb or to enable shatter. So like when that call was made, you have no, from what I see, your playstyle didn't change at all when it should have. You should have been like, oh, you know, let me, oh my bad. Oh wow, I missed that. You know, let me set up here and try and get those boops. Let me, you know, go around here. Whatever it was, you know, and try and boop that Reinhardt in so the bomb kills people. So you should be looking to help make plays for that. And that, I don't think that was part of your thought process at all. This was nice that you went on the Mei and the Kree, but the thing is, like, you didn't even know the Mei or McCree was here because you, or no one else, even though the D.Va should help scout, they're not, which is whatever. So you have to do the scouting. So like no one scouted, and like this McCree, if he kills you, he can just straight up pop off and win the team fight for his team. So like it's great that your D.Va kind of turned around and shot at him, but like you guys need to, you need to be able to scout, especially if your team doesn't do it.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Nice wall riding. Oh, nope. Yep, when you stall, you want to be as high ground as possible, so kind of had the, just a weird stalling technique. It's not like super vital, but you know, you'd come over here, you just whoop, whatever. I can't wall ride today, just kind of do this kind of stuff, because you're pretty much touching the point here, and you're harder to hit, so yeah, stay as high ground as possible. Yeah, this is just kind of unlucky. You guys used way too many ults in the previous fight, but I'm not going to talk about that because, like I said, I'm just going to stick to you.
Come on, no.
Just try and stay high ground again. I mean, there's not much you're going to do here. You just stall as long as you can, especially with the Mei, because the Mei will freeze you. Yeah, stay as high ground as you can. We'll stop when stalling. There's not much else, you know, to be said. All right, on to the third and.
How dare you?
Oh, I think this is a little bit loud.
No.
1,
Hold high.
2, 3, 4.
Hold high. Okay, I heard that call. The call was a little jumbled there, but I did hear it. You need to be doing poke. Do your ult charge. Like right now, you're not doing anything. Poke or scout, either one. Over to. I guess first is what we have to do. There we go. But yeah, poke or scout. Definitely be shooting people or scouting for your team, or preferably both. I mean, let's see if I can do this. Lucio rollouts have never been my thing. Oh, I missed the rollout already. Oh, there we go. Whatever, Lucio rollouts aren't my thing, but you decided to go this way, which is completely fine. Just make sure, like, when you go through these doorways, little tip if you didn't know, if you look down. So, like, if you look up while Lucio wall riding, I didn't really explain anything about wall riding, which I don't think I have to. Your wall riding is decent. If you look up and, like, jump, you'll go higher. If you look down when you jump, won't go as high. So if you want to go through doorways, you can look down, and it'll help you not bump your head on the doorway. But yeah, even for, like, here, you can just kind of sit here and scout, or whatever you want to break the railings. But make sure you're doing damage. You can kind of go over here and scout. You know, just figure out where they're coming from. This kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be as aggressive. Like, I know you said in your review that you thought you were being over-aggressive, but I definitely don't think you're being over-aggressive at all. If anything, you're not being aggressive enough. Like, you don't... So, typically, as a Lucio, like, you have more... Okay, so many Lucio players think that the main value they provide to their team is heal and speed, and that's simply not true. As Lucio, you provide so much value to your team, like scouting or putting pressure on the enemy team or booping, something like that. So the fact that you don't do any of that, you're kind of a heal bot for most of the game, which is fine, I guess, if you have a brig, but you still have to try and make plays, for lack of a better term. Not like, oh, I'm gonna int into the backline or be Reddit Lucio, but you still have to be like, okay, well, let me get some poke onto their Zenyatta and force an ability or force someone to pay attention to him and heal him. Let me get a boop. Like, other than the one Roadhog boop for the fight you already lost, you didn't boop anyone around. You didn't save anyone with a boop. You didn't kill anyone or, like, set anyone up, set the Mei up with a boop. And that's just, you know, that's incredibly important to do. So, yeah, just definitely try and remember that.
Drop.
So, yeah, you could be scouting here. Oh, no, don't drop. You could, but okay, we'll talk about this in a second. You could be scouting. You have to be doing damage. You have to have as much ult as you can. So you don't drop here, even though your team says drop. You just kind of go like this, and you sit up here, and you just do poke, and you help scout, because your aura will heal them, and if it doesn't, you can just pop down here. You know, whatever, you can do that, but you don't drop. You don't drop. So you needed an amp here. So, okay, your D.Va kind of inted a little bit, even though... So, your comp is Brawl. If you take poke, you lose, essentially, because you don't have heals to heal poke. And your D.Va kind of inted. She flew around. You can kind of see over here. Like, you can see she's super low right up here. Let me actually... You can kind of see your D.Va's super low. She's already, like, half HP. Even less. So she kind of inted a little bit, which is... It is whatever. Like, obviously that's not the greatest scenario, because that's not how you want to play this comp, but this isn't you. So you do have to amp here. You have to amp early, because otherwise you lose. So, like, you have to amp here.
Run.
Because you need to heal that poke. The brig can't heal it. You're not in an engagement. So, this needs to be amped. And your D.Va gets demeched. And again, your pathing is just not great here, and that's why you can't help your Rhine. So, if you... Oh. If you... Let me just get over here. If you were high ground here, you know, doing poke and doing whatever... What the... You could essentially just be over here and help your Rhine, even just by booping. Even by booping people away when they try and shoot him. If you don't have amp, because, you know, if you used amp over here, which would have been probably better, but you could just boop people away, just buy him time to escape, have speed for him, stuff like that. So, yeah, because you have just trouble kind of climbing the Mei wall, and then your amp is too late and doesn't heal anyone, so you just got to get out. It's a lost team fight.
They're close.
So now it's probably going to be your job here to contest high ground, because I'm assuming they took high ground. And I don't think your D.Va will do it, because she hasn't been... Yeah. Okay, no, this is fine. So this is fine. So normally it would be your job... Normally D.Va should be helping you, but it would be you have to do something about high ground, because you and D.Va are the only ones with the ability to do that. Having said that, your team decided to make the call to go left side, which is fine, so you can kind of stay over here. You're still playing ground Lucio right now. You shouldn't be doing that, because right now you're not getting any ult charge. You're not getting any poke in. But if you were... If you were up here, you know, oh, maybe even higher, you could be getting poke in. You'd be getting your ult in, you know? Even if you were over here. Poke. So, yeah, definitely need to get more poke in. But, back to the original point, it's fine. Your team called left. That's totally cool. You go left with them. So essentially what you're doing is you're waiting for them to drop, and then you're going to engage on them. So you usually be saving speed for kind of that. You just got to make sure that someone drops, someone like not D.Va drops, because otherwise their D.Va can just boost back to the high ground. So yeah, you're gonna want to play literally right where this Rhine is playing, just inside that little house. Yep, no, it's this kind of turned into chaos fast. You at this point, I'm torn because you really, if you could get up and boop them off the high ground, that's a huge win. But at that point, your team is already committed to going, going left. So you should just be playing very conservatively, playing under, trying to get as much poke in as you can. Just kind of, it's like your team essentially should be playing, whatever, in here, around here. You do have to be careful of May walls, so maybe not exactly in here, but staying over here. And then when they drop, you just engage on them. And then like when your team engages, someone has to call hard engage, and you just kind of amp speed. And you can always go up here and try and boop and try and contest high ground a little bit. Do something like that. Whatever. But yeah, that's kind of what has to happen, because you're a brawl comp. If you just sit here and look at them and try and, like, if your team sits here and tries to just kill them, they'll win that fight every time, like every day of the week, because you don't win those. So, like, I see what you were doing, where you're trying to like make it around and get boops, which is okay, but at that point it was, a little bit too late. So, like, in situations like those, because I realize that may not have been valuable feedback. In situations like those, just, like, if you're the Lucio player, try and make more decisive calls. And just be like, okay, I have amp. Let's, amp under the bridge, or I mean, it's really rough. You almost have to just go and take, jump pad or something. Because that's just really rough for you guys. Or that's a really rough fight to take. Or you can call for your D.Va to help you on, like, help people get off high ground. That probably would be your best play. To, like, be like, hey, D.Va, let's go knock these people off and just fly around and try and get them off high ground.
Oh, I'm sleeping.
Oh, okay. This is nice. You're thinking about...
Did they drop one?
So even here, like, you're not scouting at all. So, like, even the most basic... Oh, I got lost. Even the most basic scouts of, like, you're here, you don't see anyone. So you could just be like, whoop. Oh, I messed that up. You could be up here, like, looking around, trying to get those scouts in. Because, like, you didn't even turn the corner. Like, what happens if their whole team had been right here? I mean, obviously they weren't, because I don't know why they'd be there, but, like, what if they were? What if someone was there? What if one person was there? So.
What?
This is nice. You kind of went and contested high ground, even though there was no one there, which is good. You're playing Ground Lucio again. Amp. Ooh.
Right?
Yeah, this is kind of a... This is just a chaotic fight, and you personally die here because you're playing Ground Lucio, and you just need better pathing about, like, wall riding and whatnot. Your team, I don't even know what the heck happened. Played pretty split. Your D.Va went high ground to contest someone and died up there. But yeah, so, like, this is one of those kind of chaotic team fights that you actually can have mad value in. Because, so, like, right now your positioning was pretty bad because your pathing was pretty bad. But, like, if you sit up here, you can get a nice boop in on their Rhine. Or even, like, that may be even too risky. Oh. So, like, instead of dropping off high ground, you can just use the high ground to, oh, well. Did I mess that up? You guys didn't see anything? Wow, my Lucio wall riding is so bad. But, whatever, we're just going to go like this so I don't miss it. You can use the high ground to sit up here with your D.Va, which probably would have been very good to kind of help assist her. And then you can also get boops in, because if you boop their Rhine closer to your Rhine, even though Rhine doesn't go almost anywhere with a boop nowadays, but you can boop the Reinhardt in a little bit. Your Reinhardt gets an extra swing. move him out of position. Your May can get a nice wall. Your Reaper can get better shots. So, yeah, just don't play ground Lucio. You can... Yeah, I definitely probably would have came up here to help your Diva contest high ground, because you and Diva are the only people with high ground contest at all. So, you definitely need to be doing that all the time. And, like, scouting for your team all the time. So, you also could have, like, if you were also up here, and maybe there was no opportunity to boop, they probably had supports back here somewhere, so you can just start pestering them. You can start doing damage to them, and then their focus changes. So, like, instead of a Zenyatta doing damage to your team, he's now trying to shoot you, but you're all over the place because you're a Lucio. And now, he has to back off because he needs heals. So, like, you can cause so much more mayhem. You don't have to be a bot all the time, even though you are running a Brig, so it's incredibly hard because your healing is incredibly important. I know how odd that just sounded. I feel like I almost contradicted myself. But they got a nice shatter. You really need to be looking to help to set up stuff with your May. So like right now, I don't think you've gotten one boop other than that one Roadhog, which was decent, that had any actual value, like playmaking value to your team, or say like you saved someone on your team's life from a boop. So that's incredibly important that you kind of look for those. And I think the reason you don't get those boops is because your position. You play ground Lucio a lot, which definitely work on the surfing, which is good. But it's more than just like surfing. Like, yeah, you have to know how to Lucio surf, but you also kind of have to know where you want to be, like what elevation do you want to be. And you usually want to be above your team. You usually don't want to play in closed spaces. You don't want to do something like that. At this point, that was essentially last fight there, so even with an amazing rollout, pretty decent rollout, nothing happens here. Yeah. So that's, I mean, a little bit unlucky, but
Oh, they're calling it.
yeah, that's the way it goes sometimes.
With 20 minutes to spare. So.
All right. So, kind of, for you personally, 3 things to work on, because I usually like to give people 3 kind of paths or avenues to think about or to work on for their play. For you, it would be pathing. And when I say pathing, because I don't know if I actually explained this really well, so this might not make sense till now. Pathing is essentially the way you get from point A to point B. It's not positioning, because positioning is like where you are, but pathing is like how you do that. And with Lucio, he's one of the only characters where this applies. It's crazy important because of your wall ride. Because it's like, oh, well, do I jump off? It's like rollouts. Do I jump off this wall, then that corner to get there faster? Like something like that. But it's not a rollout per se. Like a rollout is a set path. A rollout is a set, pathing direction, if you will. Pathing in general is more like, what elevation do I want to be at? How do I want to get to that elevation? So I think that's really important for you and for a lot of other Lucio players. I think high ground contest, you don't do a lot. You kind of like to stick with your team, which is okay, but you do, like, when you're above your team, you still heal them, you still speed them. And a lot of times, especially if you have other characters that aren't going to high ground contest, like your Diva's not going to do it, you have to do it. It's incredibly important. And then, ooh, this is actually going to be hard. I think the third one for you is kind of building alt. So you build alt very slowly, and that's essentially because you don't scout, which I think is important scouting. Like, I think that's incredibly important if you want to climb, especially in a team environment. But I'm not going to leave that on the list because I think for you build alt pretty slowly. So you definitely want to try and build alt faster. And like I said before, you're not going to build alt. I mean, you will, but the main way you build alt isn't by healing. It's going to be by poke. It's going to be by poke damage, so you want to always be looking for angles to do poke and for situations to do poke. Now, obviously, like if they have a Widow, that'll become rough and your playstyle will have to change, but especially if they have nothing that can one-shot you or kill you, like just all ride around high up and do as much poke as you can, try and harass the backline, stuff like that is really important, and I think would help you get a lot better. So, if you've made it this far in the VOD, PogChamp. If you want me to review one of your VODs, then post them in the Elo Hell Discord, in the VOD request channel. you could tag me, Panda2050. I'll put all the links to everything in the description, and I hope you've learned something from this VOD review, and best of luck climbing.